welcome to the Crooked Letter Sports Podcast, the show about Mississippi sports and the folks who play them. I'm Tyler Cleveland from Scorebook Live, Mississippi, joined as always by my friend, co-host, and father, Rick Cleveland of Mississippi Today fame. Dad, how was your weekend?
I don't know what to do with myself with the Olympics not on TV every night.
I had the same thing happen to me. I think it was last night was like the first weeknight. I've been filling my evenings with it, and I didn't know what to turn on the TV, so I just didn't turn it on. I didn't know what.
Well, you should have turned it on about 9:30, because that was one of the great pitching duels of this or any season.
I guess so. I'm glad you started with that, because we do need to talk about this right off the top. We are recording this on Tuesday morning, so he is referring to the Braves 1-0 win last night, in which, you're right. It was a great pitching duel, and Chris Sale was amazing for the Braves. But I think you and I had the same observation about the baseball game.
It's the worst umpiring I've ever seen. The plate umpire.
It was C.B. Buckner.
How does he have a job?
I don't know. Everyone in the league knows he's terrible.
The announcers just ignore how terrible he is.
They don't even talk about it anymore.
The plate, it extends 6 inches on either side of the plate. So the plate's a foot wider than it should be, except sometimes it's not. Right.
If it's on the black, then... that's the ball. I think if you're, like they do the pre-production meetings for games, I am sure that is something that they talk about. It's like, look, we got C.B. Buckner tonight. We shouldn't spend much time talking about it, because if we do, that's all we'll talk about.
That's right. And, it's not like Chris Sale or Snell for the Giants need any help. I mean, they're amazing pitchers.
Yeah.
But you give them a plate that's like 2 feet wide, and they're really, really, really good, It's unbelievable. But it was a great game. 1-0, 10 innings. Terrific.
Well, it was what do you think about these guys before we get into it? Now, before we go any further into our Braves discussion, before everyone turns the podcast off because they're terrible and they're not worth talking about, we're going to talk about high school football today, seeing as how the season is upon us. It's hard to imagine that it's football season because of how warm it is, but it's here.
Warm, but it does not even begin to accurately describe what it is outside.
Yeah, no, it is hot, but it's hard for me to, because I was in Las Vegas over the weekend, and anybody who tells you that dry heat is easier to deal with is a liar. It's also very hot out there. But coming back, what got me was walking out of the airport. You forget how suffocating it is.
The blanket of humidity. Yeah.
Stepping into the oven after you've set it to bake.
It doesn't matter if it's midnight or 5 a.m. or noon. The humidity is relentless.
It is. A couple things I want to hit on before we start our high school football discussion. Dad, what did you think of the Saints' first preseason game? I know when I first saw you, that was the first thing you said to me. They won.
Well, yeah, and then it means nothing, obviously. My main takeaway is that I think that Spencer Rattler's going to end up being the backup quarterback.
I mean, he's a lot like Derek Carr, I think. I mean, he's just a little bit smaller package, but he's got a big arm, and he looks like he can move around a little bit.
He's more mobile than Derek Carr, but he's I don't know, he just seems to have that it factor a little bit that the great ones have.
Well, it would be wonderful if the Saints had a great quarterback. That would really help things along. Although, as we found out last year, you may need like 5 or 6 with that offensive line.
Yeah, I didn't. I'll be honest with you. I turned it on late, so I didn't see when the starters were in there. I heard.
You didn't see the off 2 minutes of it?
Yeah. It'll get more interesting the next couple of weeks, so we'll see.
We mentioned the Olympics being over. Are you sad it's over, and how much did you enjoy that? That last weekend was pretty sweet, especially for the USA.
Yeah, I enjoyed, once every 4 years, it's pretty cool, I was proud of the Mississippi guys, our 2 Oxford guys, the high jumper, the long jumper, silver medals. A little bit surprised that our high jumper, and
Mm-hmm.
that he didn't accept tying for the goal.
Yeah, I saw that. Wanted to have a jump off with the dude from New Zealand and lost.
Yeah.
How about our boy Devin Booker and the men's basketball team?
Yeah, I mean, they were really good, but again, if you want to talk about the big takeaway from the basketball is that, boy, the rest of the world has caught up.
I'm glad you said that. Everyone keeps saying the rest of the world is caught up, but the USA keeps winning gold. And I think, how much fun was the end of that game, first of all, with Steph Curry, of course, with the USA beating France in the gold medal game. My favorite thing that I've seen so far is the French announcers doing the last quarter of the game. It's like, oh, Steph Curry, no! Steph Curry, no! Oh, no! I mean, he just kept burying threes. It was so much fun to watch. And then, obviously, they should win. Let's just preface by saying it's
When I say the rest of the world caught up, I'm talking about in 1996, I went to Atlanta to cover the games. That was the dream team.
Mm-hmm.
And they beat everybody by 40 or 50 points.
Mm-hmm.
Now we have the same dream. I mean, the guys these are, all these years later, we have another dream team that's just as good as that dream team was. And they win by what? They beat France by 3 or 4?
Yeah, well, France is, give them a couple of years. At the next Olympics, they're going to be hell on wheels just because of Rudy Gobert and the Wembanyama dude, who is maybe one of the maybe the best player on the floor the other night or the other day or the other morning. It all kind of runs together because they're on the other side of the world. But Wembanyama is awesome, and I think you're going to have singular talents like that on other teams, and but if France had better guard play, if they had Tony Parker in his prime the way they did a couple of years ago, they would have been extremely hard to beat.
Yeah, the big, tall, skinny guy, how you pronounce his name, Wembanyama?
Yeah.
Well, if he ever fills out, if he gets stronger,
well, he will.
It's over.
Yeah, he reminds me a lot of that Giannis Antetokounmpo that was playing for Greece. He just needs a little bit more. He's got, like you said, he's got to put on a little more bulk, and he'll be right there with it. The other bizarre thing I saw, Dad, over the weekend was the Matt Kuchar thing. I don't know I don't know how much our listeners know about it, but we had, he was finishing up on Sunday. He's 6 strokes off the lead, right? He's not going to win. He's on the last hole. He's playing with 2 other guys who one of them was a stroke back, and they played the last hole. But after he hit his tee shot, Kuchar decided they left it up to them whether they wanted to keep playing or not, and Kuchar called it a day. And was like, no, the horns basically sounded, and we don't have to finish today. And
he would not have won any popularity contest.
Are you kidding me? Bring the entire tournament back for another day so that he can hit his approach and putt on 18.
And he can't win.
And he can't win. He's 6 strokes off the lead. The tournament director and all the officials and everybody has to come back. The announcing was pretty funny. I can't remember who it was. It was just like, the tournament's over, but it's not. And, they obviously weren't going to bring back the whole TV production crew the next day. So it was like, signing off, and they did the thing with the winner and everything. It was just bizarre. I've never seen it happen like that.
Yeah. I haven't either, and I didn't see that. So,
no golf watching for Rick this weekend. I'm sure you found a way to play, though.
I did. Not well.
Not well. Well, let's get into our main topic today, which is high school football season. It is upon us. The private schools start this weekend, this coming Friday. The public schools start on August 29th. And, there's no way to sugarcoat it. It's still hot. It does not feel like football season. I'm sure it does for them because they're in the preseason and working every day trying to get it together. But it seems like we just talk about it every year how freaking hot it is at the start of football season. But
back when I was a kid, they started in late September.
Yeah.
It was a little bit cooler.
I was about to say, I don't know if that make a huge difference here.
It was a little bit cooler. It's crazy. It's. I mean, we'll have the mandatory heat timeouts and all that, which they have to have. They may need to add a couple this year, but yeah. So who? God, where to start? Who's going to be the best team in the state this year?
Well, I'm glad you asked. I have been working tirelessly over the past 3 weeks or so.
When you weren't in Vegas.
To push out all of our preseason content. And, it's like months of the culmination of like months of work. And I think it took the most time was trying to pick who was going to be a preseason number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, the pecking order there in the top 25. My answer is, you asked me who's going to be good and who's going to win. I think the answer is Brandon. And it feels like we say it every year. It's the same thing with them. They end up being preseason number 1. And then it was so funny because I texted their coach, Sam Williams. I'm going to tell on him a little bit here. I texted him and said, I'm sorry, but I'm going to have to rank you number 1, again. And coaches hate that. And he said, no, do Madison Central or Oak Grove. I said, I can't do it for you. I'm sorry. You're going to have to play it with the target on your back. Brandon is the number 1 team for several reasons. They're always at the top. They were there last year. They, lost in South State to the eventual champs, Oak Grove, in a game that was closer than that state championship game against Starkville. They've got a lot coming back. They've got one of the most exciting young players in the country, Tyson Robinson, who's the running back, who's just going to be a sophomore.
I started hearing about him in the 8th grade.
Yeah, he's an Alabama guy as far as we know. I mean, he's got the Alabama offer, put it that way, as a sophomore, which is pretty. I think that's good, and he had it before Saban left, for the record. So, I think he's one of the most exciting players in the state. And part of me always asked, somebody tells me they got a great running back. My first question to the coach is, well, what about the line? Sam said, our line's going to be solid. We returned some really good players, but with Tyson, you just kind of got to get it started.
Get out of his way.
Right. Well, you just got to kind of get it started, get him headed in the right direction, and he'll take care of the rest. I've got them number 1. I think Oak Grove is going to be right there again.
With all the players they lost?
Yeah. I think Drew Causey's a quarterback away, and it seems like they find somebody every year to kind of, run that offense. And obviously they've had a lot of success here lately, but if they can find somebody who can hold it down, and it doesn't really have to even be like the talent they have coming back on the lines and at the skill positions on defense, they don't really need, if they could just get somebody who can, manage the game and or
Stetson Bennett.
Run. Yeah. Yeah, if you can get Stetson Bennett, that would be fantastic. But
or that kind of quarterback.
I got you. Yeah, I think they're going to be pretty good. The other one is Madison Central. I mean, they got so much better throughout the course of last year. Lost to Starkville and North State, but was really young. They got a quarterback named Jaden Johnson who just got better as the season went on, and they're going to be really salty on defense. Really, really, really good on defense. I think they'll probably win the North. I mean, Tupelo might have something to say about that. And the outside shot at Oxford, had a great conversation with Chris Cutcliffe the other day, where he said they're going to be pretty competitive again. But it's hard to pick a team from Region 1 or Region 4 after last year. What happened? The Region 2 swept Region 1 in the playoffs in the first round, and then Region 3 down there with Oak Grove and Petal and all those things, they swept Region 4, because we watched that game with when Meridian beat Ocean Springs. That was the 1-4 matchup in the South, and Daniel Hill just took over.
Yeah,
that was fun. So it's hard to pick a team from Region 1 or 4 right now. So those are the best teams in the highest classification. After that, you just kind of run down the list. Louisville. Yeah. West Jones.
West Point.
Yeah. Who's going to be good? Laurel, Tupelo, Oxford, Warren Central. I think the other interesting storyline is with the private schools starting a little bit earlier. I mentioned that Hartfield is going to be very good. They're in the preseason top 10. They've got a bunch of good – they got best top line talent, I think, of the schools in the MAIS ranks. But that's, if I had to pick a team to win it right now, it would probably be, Jackson Prep, just because you're never going to go broke betting on Jackson Prep to win football games. But I think Hartfield, MRA, Prep, they're all going to be pretty good in the private schools. The big question marks, there's question marks at some big places like West Point. They got a new coach. They hired one of the Morgan boys away from Warren Central, and they don't, they were trying to replace Chris Chambliss. I don't think, it's one of those things where if I got hired as the head coach at West Point, I'm not sure I would change much.
No, I certainly wouldn't change the squat racks, because those guys from the stomach down, they're different than everybody else.
Everybody has weight rooms. Theirs just works.
Theirs seems to work differently, or they spend more time in there.
Mm-hmm. The other big question is Starkville. I mean, what happens there? They have to replace Trey Petty and Stonka Burnside and all those guys that were, they were very, very dependent on them to just kind of make plays at the end of last season. So they got to find some new guys.
As long as Chris is the head coach, they'll be pretty good, I think.
Well, that's what I'm saying. It's like they had to replace, the first team All-State quarterback and the first team All-State corner and wide receiver and a couple of linemen and their best running back, and they're like preseason number 12. It's one of those things. You just feel like they're going to find the talent. They always do. And
isn't it funny, though, how certain pockets of the state, certain programs are always there? They're always there.
Yeah, like the Golden Triangle.
Yeah.
Pretty much any team in it. Noxubee County,
West Point.
Starkville, West Point, Louisville. We're talking about the best programs, the most consistent programs in the state.
Is anybody going to be good on the coast? That's the biggest change I've seen over the years in Mississippi high school football. The coast used to be such a dominant. Biloxi, Gulfport, Ocean Springs, they used to be just walking, stomping hell, and they hadn't beat anybody.
No, like I said, they got swept out in the highest classification, got swept off out of the playoffs in the first round last year. I have got Gulfport at number 21 and Ocean Springs at number 20. That's your answer. But no, I don't expect either one of them to do much. I think if they got into the playoffs and won a game, they would be playing with house money at that point.
Yeah, I wonder what the reason is that's happened. I don't.
We could have Bobby Hall on and ask him.
We should have Bobby Hall on.
We should have, well, for sure. No, I think George County is going to be decent. If you go inland just a little bit, Picayune, George County, but the teams down there in the highest classification, it just, for whatever reason, it just has not worked out here recently. That said, I think most of the divisions are going to be pretty competitive this year. I don't see one where I just, you can go ahead and pencil this team in. I think there's going to be contention in everyone, with the possible exception of Louisville. They just seem to be better than everybody every year. I had them, we have 7 classifications in the MHSA. So I'm ranking every team in all 7 classifications in the MAIS, right? So it's all thrown together in the preseason top 25. I put Louisville, who's a 4A school, I put them at number 4 behind Madison Central, Brandon, and Oak Grove. And the response I got from the Louisville fans, it would be as if I came to their house and kicked their dog in front of them.
They think they should be number 1.
Yeah. Thought they should have been number 1 at the end of last year.
Well, maybe that attitude's what keeps them up there.
Yeah, I think so.
Well, let me ask you a really pressing, important question. How about the Hattiesburg High Tigers?
I'm glad you asked, because I was just about to say Hattiesburg. Tony Vance has got maybe the most talent he's had there.
His son's a quarterback, right? Deuce?
Deuce is a quarterback. I have got them preseason number 15. I really think they're going to have a big year. Of course, they're in Class 6A, and so they're not in the region with Laurel anymore. Their big problem is West Jones. They don't have to beat them to get in the playoffs and have a run. They'll have to beat them eventually to get there. Yeah. And it's hard to imagine them making that big a – because I saw the game last year at the end of the year with West Jones, and they didn't want any of that. Of course, nobody did. But that's their big stumbling block. But they're going to be good. They've got a big-time defensive lineman coming back. And as you mentioned, Tony's kid is a really good player. And then Tony just does such a good job with that program.
Really, really good football coach. What about Marcus Boyles and Petal?
Man, what an interesting story that is. Marcus, he had a chance to go. He was at Meridian 1 year.
It's a pretty good year to be there with that running back.
With Daniel Hill. It really was, but he got the most out of the rest of that roster, too. I mean, you don't win a playoff game on the road at Ocean Springs like that in the first round as the 4 against the 1 seed with one player. Although, if you remember the game, he certainly did look like he did it on his own. But I think he got the most. I think Marcus got the most he could out of that team. I think they squeezed off 6 or 7 wins, which is pretty impressive considering, what had been going on at Meridian.
But he goes back to Petal.
He goes back to Petal,
where they've been down for Petal. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Well, they're in that murderer's row there in Region 3. I'm talking about, we're talking probably the second best region in the state. You have, Pearl and Brandon and Oak Grove. There are no easy outs is what I'm trying to say. So it's just a tough road to hoe at Petal. I think they're going to be much improved, just from talking to my buddy Andrew Abity, who covers the Pine Belt for Pine Belt News down there.
Does a good job.
He does. Andrew does a good job. He tells me they're going to be pretty competitive. I don't know that they're going to be able to catch up to Oak Grove and Brandon just right off the bat. It's going to be tough. But, I think they'll be improved. And Marcus, the fun thing about him is, he's sitting on 300 wins. I'd have come back and got my 300th win, turned Meridian around, and gone fishing. But apparently, Marcus, I talked to him this offseason. He said he's as excited about this team as he's been about any.
Well, the one thing you can say about Petal going into the season, they'll be as good as they can possibly be because he'll get them there.
That's right. So there's a couple of guys I'd put in that, that category in terms of like, you get this coach, you're almost automatically in some. You're better off than you were before, but you're also like in contention almost immediately. And he's one of them. Let's see, who else have I got on the list? You mentioned the Golden Triangle. I've got Noxubee County at 18. You can check out all these rankings, by the way, by heading over to scorebooklive.com/Mississippi, or now through highschool.si.com, since we're partnered with Sports Illustrated, and you can find all of our content on their server. We're now the high school wing of Sports Illustrated in terms of their coverage. The other one's Dad, always at the top, number 24, Jeff Davis County, and number 25, Ripley, who have just been hell on wheels the past couple of years.
So, Tyler, let me ask you this. Break with the does your check come from Sports Illustrated?
No.
No,
I'm with Scorebook Live, Mississippi.
Which is now a subsidiary?
No, we're just partnered with them. We're partnered with SI. They are hosting all of our content. It's actually been a long, drawn-out process over the summer, but we just announced this last week our big partnership with them. Of course, we had been on their server for I think a week or two before that, but it's been a really smooth transition, and they are been good partners. But it helps me because, if there's a good story about a Mississippi kid, or if there's something going on, a big game or a big moment, that everybody's talking about here, we got a chance to put it on a national stage with Sports Illustrated. They've got a great domain for their site. It helps us get our content out to more people, and helps get the stories of these Mississippi kids out on a national stage. And that's my favorite thing about it so far.
Sounds like this kid from Brandon might be a Sports Illustrated story before it's over.
I think he will be. He's pretty incredible. We do have some top line talent across the board. There's a couple guys I'm really excited about. The big one, of course, is the Mississippi State commit from Noxubee County, Camario Taylor.
Saw him 2 years ago. Said, this kid's special.
He's a freak now. He's grown into a freak. He is like 6'6", and he's got a cannon for an arm. Went to that Elite 11 camp, and then committed to Mississippi State. I mean, threw for 3,600 yards and 48 touchdowns last year with just 5 picks. And this is on a team at Noxubee County that was already hell on wheels on defense. But last year, what we saw was the running ability. He also ran for 800 yards and 15 touchdowns. But, I mean, you tell me right now this kid accounted for, 62 touchdowns as a junior? I mean, it's not college, but they're not playing that many games. You know what I mean?
And he's solid state.
Yeah, I think so. I think they're going to have to fight some folks off if they can't get him. I mean, ideally, he would go ahead and sign with them in the early period. Otherwise, it's going to be one of those things where they're going to be fighting off $1 million offers from just about everybody.
Well, I think we both saw him for the first time when he was 14 or 15.
In Hattiesburg at the state championship. He threw for, 5 or 6 touchdowns in the state championship game.
I remember running into Will Hall down on the field after the game, and I said, "Did you see that?" And he said, "Hell, I just offered him." He was 14, I think.
Yeah, he's incredible. I mean, I think he's going to be – this year is going to be maybe just one of those coronation type deals. We'll see at the end of the year. I mean, they've got a good chance, but they're in, as
Who
always.
else? What other quarterbacks?
I would say the top line talent. I'm interested to see what the Shaq kid at Brandon looks like. Everybody's real excited about him. His name's Sladen Shaq. Everyone seems to be very excited about him. We haven't seen him, because they've had Landon Varnes the past couple of years, and everybody. I think they say his talent is right there already. Because he's just going to be a sophomore this year. The talent's there already. It's just a matter of, getting some reps and seeing how he looks. But everyone's very excited about him. The other big names around the state, Deuce Knight at George County. He had transferred to Lipscomb Academy before last season in Tennessee. And it was right before the season. And then 4 games into the year, he came back, transferred back to George County, and they went on this big run.
That high school portal.
Yeah, he's in the high school portal. He came back and was really good, and I think they're going to be good again. So I'm excited to see what he can do in his senior year.
He's a big-time recruit, right?
He is. Deuce Knight, he is a big recruit. He is not – I don't think he's committed anywhere right now, but he was at that Elite 11 camp that Camario Taylor went to. So obviously everybody thinks – a lot of him, I'd love to lay eyes on him. And then there's some of the schools you don't really hear about as much, Dad. There's a kid at Cleveland Central named Jay Beeman who threw for over 2,000 yards last year, who has got a lot of good, nice buzz, especially on the recruiting trail right now. Then there's Garrison Davis at Holmes County Central. He started at Brandon, transferred to Ridgeland, and then transferred for his junior year to Holmes County Central, where he's kind of found his niche. Threw for 2,500 yards and 28 touchdowns last year, just short of 1,000 yards on the ground. So one of those dual threat guys. He reminds me a lot of Zy McDonald. You remember him? Yeah. Deuce's nephew that was at Ridgeland. He's a little bit undersized, but he plays much bigger than that. And he seems to have Holmes County. It's not just him. They got some top-line talent up there, but he seems to have them in pretty much every game. The other one is the Tupelo quarterback, Noah Gillen. He's a transfer, shocker. But I think he's entering this season. He's got offers from Appalachian State, Arkansas State, Austin, PA, Troy, teams like that. I think he could he could kind of raise his profile a little bit. He transferred from one of the smaller schools up there in the Northeast to go to Tupelo, I guess for exposure. But I think he's going to be – he was kind of the piece that Tupelo was – they didn't know how they were going to replace Jeremiah Harrell, been starting for him for 2 or 3 years. Well, the answer is Noah Gillen. He's 6'3" and 180 pounds. He's got everything you look for physically. So interested to see how that works out. What about you? Are you going to come to some high school games with me this year?
Yeah, when they invent a personal air conditioner. No, I'll be there. But I'll probably be there in October and November.
Yeah. It's still one of the few things I like to do live.
Yeah.
It's better live.
And on the sidelines.
I know.
Yeah.
I'm not sure how we're going to do that this year, because we're doing at Scorebook Live, on Friday nights we're doing live updates. So we want to do live updates on as many games as possible. because that's, during the game, that's the best use of the time, and that's the best way to get information out is to do live updates on Friday night. And it's kind of changed the game a little bit for me because I'm used to walking up and down the field on the sidelines with a notepad, keeping my own stats, and the old school way to do it.
Yeah, well, I just don't see how those live updates transfer and become dollars.
Yeah,
for the company. But that's a story for another day.
It is a story for another day. I have, I would say I could explain it, but a lot of what happens these days is a little over my head, to be honest. But it is the best way. It is the best way to keep people informed. I mean, the metrics show. So excited about the season. Excited to watch some football. To be honest, I get to this point every year where I'm ready for this baby to arrive. We're way past it. I feel
been pregnant long enough.
Yeah. I feel like we're way past the due date, even though it's like 105 degrees outside. Dad, there's some big games right here in the metro that you're going to want to go to this year. I think I had kind of given you a list earlier this month, but we had I know Oak Grove is coming to town to play MRA.
I'll be there.
Yeah,
because that was one of the best games I saw. That was the best game I saw last year. MRA and Oak Grove.
It was. It was an incredible game, and you saw it, and I didn't. I was so jealous of you. No, there's and there's some others though. I was going to say real quickly, Madison Central at Brandon on September 6th. That's the second week of the season. That's right out of the gate. That's another good one around here. The rest of them, pretty much my top 10 are on the road. The other one is there's one more in the metro. That's West Jones at Jackson Prep on October 4th. That's another good public-private matchup. We don't always get those good MAIS, MHSA crossovers, but that's a good one. The other games that should be appointment viewing: Starkville at Louisville, September 20th. That game I don't have time to go into all the drama that has surrounded that game the past 2 years, but let's just say it has been basically season defining for both of those programs the last 2 years. Ocean Springs at Oak Grove also on September 6th. Yeah, I think that does about. Louisville is also playing at West Point to open the season, August 30th. How much fun is that? Made in 3-0. We'll see. Anything you're looking forward to?
Well, I'm supposed to play in the my golf club championship this weekend. So
okay,
yeah.
Well, look, if you don't.
Speaking of 105 degrees.
Yeah, I was about to say, if you don't win, you can always just look at the scores and then say, well, I played a little bit better than that last week, so I'm the club champion.
Yeah.
Isn't that how it works?
It's the way it works for some people. So what do you think about having a high school football coach as the VP candidate?
I was waiting for you to bring that up. I don't know, I mean, some of the smartest, most well put together and organized people I have ever met are high school football coaches.
Great leaders of men and all that. But also, on the flip side, I
have also met some dumbasses that are high school football coaches. And I know that, high school football coaches may be different in different states, and maybe I'm just not aware, but I think I think it takes somebody who's highly organized. I think there's a lot of this skill crossover.
I just keep imagining my golf buddy Mike Justice is the vice president of the United States.
Mike Justice
America.
would make a great vice president. I'm going to go ahead and say it.
Oh, he could never be the vice president. He'd have to be the president.
You're right. He could not be the vice president. No, yeah. I mean, no, talking to players, some of the coaches off the top of my head, I don't know. I don't know anybody who I would nominate right now, maybe, of the current coaching ranks. Maybe Drew Causey or somebody like that. He seems to be able to get the most out of everybody every year. But yeah, no, I don't know. And a state championship winning coach at that, right?
Yeah.
But we should note he was the defensive coordinator, was not the head coach. No stolen valor here.
That's right.
thanks for listening, everybody. Have a good one out there. You can find all this high school content over at scorebooklive.com/Mississippi. Everybody have a good one. Be safe out there.